Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the FTD webinar titled Deliver a Best-in-Class Experience. We are excited to welcome today's featured presenters, Keith Harbison, AIFD, FTD Senior Manager of Quality, and Sidney Burngasser, FTD Director of Customer Experience Insights. As a quick housekeeping note, Keith and Sidney will be taking questions throughout the session. If you have a question, simply type it in the chat box in the toolbar at the bottom of your screen. All right, let's get started. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thanks, Janet, and welcome everyone. And I appreciate you carving out some time this afternoon to talk about how we can deliver a best-in-class experience. And kind of throughout the presentation today, you're going to hear me say things like we and us, and I'm going to do that for two reasons. One is we're all in this together, and I want you guys to all know that. And the second one is, second reason is that I, like many of you, have been a florist really for most of my life. So going on four decades now. So, you know, I feel like I have some insight into what you guys face on a daily basis. And, you know, hopefully we can find some best practices and enjoy this best-in-class experience. So I think the first thing we need to do is kind of just talk briefly about who we are. So there's a whole manufacturing side to our business. So we as florists, we're really creative, so it's hard to think of us as being manufacturers, but in essence, we're taking raw materials, right, individual stems and flowers and components, and we're creating one final floral composition. And so we take that item and then we either sell it through our store or we may deliver that. So the other side of our business really is that service piece. And we're definitely in that service industry as well. And we can't look or overperform on one and not perform on the other. We really have to look at the two together. And there has to be a really good balance in between being really creative on one side, but then making sure that you service it and deliver that expectation to the consumer as expected and when expected. So a couple facts here. According to consumers, the number one reason dissatisfactions occur are due to delivery issues or failures. And in fact, at FTD, 85% of our florist refunds can be attributed to those floral failures, those delivery failures. So that's a big number, and it's kind of a hard number to overcome. But I think by pulling in some efficiencies and some best practices, I think we could actually create that white glove experience, if you will, where we're crafting the bouquet on one side, right? That's a tough job. There's a lot to do there. You guys put your heart and souls into that, and the real creativeness that comes through on that. But as great as that is, if we can't get that design out and delivered or serviced, perhaps it's even a wedding, so there's a bigger picture here, or a funeral. If we're not handling that service side of it, we really don't produce that white glove experience or that best in class. So let's talk today mostly about the last mile. That last mile, right? This is pretty simple to understand. It is that last piece of the supply chain. It's taking that produced good and delivering it from that last point in the supply chain to the final destination. So in our case, to our recipients, to our customers. You know, and quite often they're life events that we're delivering these things to. So, you know, we're really kind of an important cog in that wheel. But this whole process doesn't go without its challenges. So let's look at a few of those challenges and address them and kind of see what we can do to understand better what we all face. And then as we go throughout the presentation, we'll find maybe some solutions or some efficiencies that we can work on. So, you know, the first thing is that lack of visibility. We know that over the last 10 years, there's been an enormous, you know, push for that consumer to have an idea of what's going on with their delivery throughout the day. We have some big companies that are doing this, and it's really now expected at every level within the service industry. So really important to make sure that that customer understands where their package is at every point in the delivery, or at least to the points that we can provide that visibility. Delivery costs are certainly an issue for us as well. And I think there's ways either through better route planning and things like that, or other efficiencies we can create within our stores to lower those costs. We talked a little bit just now about inadequate route planning. And if you do send out trucks out onto the road where they're not in a perfect route, or there's construction delays, anything that could kind of delay those deliveries, it's going to really increase those customer frustrations. It's going to add higher costs. It could end in refunds. So there's a lot to really having that good, strong route planning. And then there's those other things that we don't control. So the weather, traffic, vehicle issues, flat tires, car breaking down, driver gets sick, doesn't come in. So good to have contingency plans in place for those areas if they do come up. But these are certainly all challenges for that last mile on the delivery. And we should know, and we should note that non and late deliveries, these are probably the worst thing that can happen in that customer experience, right? Definitely going to harm the brand. It's going to increase customer churn. They're going to go elsewhere to find somebody who does service them better. And then it's going to affect your bottom line, refunds and things like that will definitely affect your profitability. So now that we know what the challenges are, right? Who has really been driving these expectations? Well, it's kind of these big three. It's everybody. There's a lot of people in the game, but certainly UPS, Amazon, and FedEx have kind of set this whole kind of their goal to really fix that last mile, right? I think you can drive down the street or the highway in almost any major metropolitan area and just see these Amazon fulfillment centers popping up all over the place. And I know the one near our corporate office, actually, there's 2 buildings right there that just popped up. And then next to it is a giant parking lot full of Amazon vans. So they're trying to really solve that whole last mile issue that they have and getting closer to every endpoint that they have. So it's all about that operational consistency, right? They have the right people in place, the right processes, the right tools, and this is allowing them to provide all that excellent service, but it's also putting that pressure on the rest of us to make sure that we do that as well. So there are significant gains that you can have by following some of these great roles. So definitely will be a differentiator for you. You'll set yourself apart from your competition. Customers will come to you based on that service. You'll gain that market share away from your competitors. You'll begin to build that brand loyalty. So as you take those orders and you show up on time every time, and sometimes even early if you can, right? You're going to build that trust with those customers. And then in turn, they're going to come back to you time and time again. And they may even purchase at a higher frequency rate. So maybe they're once a year shoppers and Valentine's Day or maybe Mother's Day, but they're going to start using you for other gifting opportunities that they have. And all of that, I think, can be gained by paying attention to that last mile on that delivery and service area. We've got to remember that they have other alternatives. They can go other places. There's other gifting options out there for them. So to kind of keep their attention, having that all those last mile attention to detail is really important. So ask you a question. So who looks and pays attention to 5-star ratings? So as a consumer, I know that almost before anything that I buy, I'm searching right away to see, are there any ratings out there, and sifting through those to see, is this a good product? Is this something that's worked for other people? So those 5-star ratings, and I gravitate towards them, and I'm sure that all of you do as well. So they're super important, and our customers, they're paying attention to what's happening in social media, what's being posted on websites as far as satisfaction and things like that goes. So a couple of quick stats here. 58% of folks will share positive feedback on their social media. 73% are more willing to try new offerings, right? So as you, again, build that brand trust and that loyalty, you can start to expand your offerings and you'll get a lot of takers, I think, out of that. They'll also increase spend with you. if it's been a good value and the experience has been good, they're going to be willing to spend more each time they come. And then, of course, they'll share those positive experiences with friends and family. And so I look at this and I think these numbers are really exciting because everything here is on the upside and should build your business. So Sidney, can you share what we do at FTD is when we're looking at customer satisfaction?
Yeah, for sure. That 82% sharing positive experiences with friends and family is actually the basis for how we track consumer satisfaction. We have active and passive listening mechanisms throughout our shopping and delivery experience. When I say active and passive, I just really mean that there are different survey touch points all along the way, whether somebody is shopping on the site immediately post checkout, 2 days after delivery. And what the basis for those surveys is what we call the Net Promoter System. It's the most widely adopted system to measure customer satisfaction in the world. And it is based on the question, how likely are you to recommend insert service, in this case, FTD, to a family member or a friend? And they rank on a scale of 0 to 10, and that's how we get our score. And so we take that, we can apply it to all different parts of the businesses. And we know based on that feedback that it's true. If a customer is happy, it reduces negative word of mouth. Like he said, it yields loyalty and retention. It keeps us ahead of the competition. He touched on the parts about it that mean profitability for all of us, but also something he didn't say is that customer satisfaction matters more than price. Research shows that if a customer is happy, they are more likely to spend a few extra dollars with you than your competition. And I think that's all really important to us, especially as we think about average order value, getting those profitability numbers up. Like we may charge a couple more dollars for our roses than Teleflora does. Oh, maybe I wasn't supposed to say their name on this recording. We might charge a few more dollars, but if our customers are happy, they're going to keep coming back to us. So yeah, Keith, is that where you wanted me to go with that?
Yeah, for sure. I think, it's something that we look at every day and helps, it helps guide our business. So
another thing that I would add too is that speaking about 5-star ratings is that we actually have a concerted email campaign to kind of incentivize folks to leave us brand and product reviews. And those are syndicated to search. So if you go in Google and you type in FTD or ProFlowers or the name of one of our products, those things will pop up, and we're feeding the search engine these kind of reviews that we get. We get some organic reviews that are, not as pretty as we would like, and we try to manage to those, but we're also asking those folks that are happy with us to share that, and they do, and it works. We see that we sometimes outperform our competitors when it comes to paid search and things like that. So it's real.
And Sidney, how often do we look at these numbers?
Every single day, all day long.
We do. Yeah, it's pretty interesting, and it's ingrained in our culture now. So kind of cool. So you might be wondering, right? Where do I stand in all of this, right? So I think I'm doing a good job. But here's a little exercise I think you can use to sort of benchmark where you're at in this best-in-class process. So I've got 3 buckets here. The first one is reactive. Are you constantly putting out fires every day? Are you chasing deliveries? Are you having to redeliver things? Are you offering refunds because of the failed service side of things? If you are, you're probably in that reactive bucket, and you're going to want to start to change some of those practices. And perhaps maybe you've already started some of those, so you'll be a little bit more migratory, right? So this is where you've already laid down a foundation for strong operational efficiencies, but you're still on the reactive side. It hasn't quite all kicked in yet, but the positive side thing is that you've actually made those steps to kind of increase and improve that the processes that you have. Or perhaps you already are feeling like you're in that best in class, right? Where you have a really strong commitment to predictive maintenance, where you're using data every day and you treat it like a critical asset, and it's used to utilize change across your organization. And I think getting here, right, is a pretty tall order. It's a pretty tough climb, and then maintaining that. So it's not just kind of get there and then it's all going to be hunky-dory from that point on. You've got to work it. You've got to look at the data like Sidney and I were just talking about, and you've got to understand on a daily basis what's happening, because things change, right? The supply chain this year has been crazy, and that's really affected a lot of customer experience feedback to us. And we've had to kind of change and mold and be agile as possible in our decision making. And so, often said, retail is detail, and kind of what that means, right, is sales and customer loyalty come to those who leave no stone unturned. So I think the same thing can be said about your delivery or your service side of your business to kind of get to that best in class. So I know we don't sit on our laurels. We're constantly looking for feedback from our network, from our consumer, and trying to build a better brand across all functions. So try that little process out to see where you kind of land in that. And so some of the delivery efficiencies that you can add to your business, right? So how can I create more opportunity for myself? How can I save money on my daily operations? And I think the first two bullets here kind of go together. So you could design a day ahead of time. That way, when your driver walks in the morning, they will have packages ready to deliver, or you can quickly take the morning orders that come in and add them to the route and get a truck out on the road. And then also get a truck out on the road in the morning. I talk to a lot of our members, and quite often they only run afternoon routes. They wait for somebody to come in the afternoon. And if you think about that from an efficiency standpoint, it may not always be the best thing, right? So designing a day ahead and running multiple routes could give you opportunities to take more orders and grow. And the more orders you do, some of that is incremental, and you really have the same cost of labor and things like that. So you're not really adding a lot of overhead to it, but you're growing your business and you're creating those opportunities for yourself. And then if you take that idea and you go into the best in class or the white glove experience piece of it, imagine those customers who have a birthday, they're sending flowers for a birthday or an anniversary, and those are coming out in the morning run, and the recipients are able to enjoy those for the entire day, that special day that they're having, rather than receiving that package at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, which still fits the bill as far as being in the normal business hours, but it's not a great customer experience. So I think those two things together will kind of help grow your business and really help drive that best in class as well. So, and then routing, we talked about this a little bit. Got to be as slick as you can on routing, making sure that you're putting the right orders, in the right routes. I know I used to kind of use an east-west, north-south method at my store, and send kind of out in those quarter pies into different directions. Worked well for me. Whatever plan you have, just make sure that you use it and it makes a lot of sense for the geographical footprint that you're delivering to. And then anybody who can optimize any tools that are out there. There's routing tools and things like that. In fact, we have tools in our POS system that will help you kind of optimize those routes on a daily basis. The next three, I think, go together too. Having all of those details right in line for the drivers, so they're not getting out on the road and finding that the package is missing some special details, or part of the delivery address is wrong. Having all those details, the special delivery times, funerals, calling ahead of time, making sure that you got a school delivery out early. All of these will create efficiencies in your business and get those deliveries out one after another without any hitch, and possible orders coming back to your store. And last but not least, I would implement the driver training program. The driver sometimes is sort of that forgotten person in the business, when they probably are one of the most important people in your delivery service side of the business. They are your face, the face of your flower shop in many cases. They might be the only person that that recipient sees when they deliver the package. And so having them understand how important this experience should be, and providing them the right information and how to care and handle the packages, and understand the fragility of the flowers and the temperature, constraints on the flowers, and making sure that they understand to not overheat or freeze flowers and things like that. Just even how to pack a van for stability in the van so flowers don't spill over. I can't tell you how horrible an experience is when a driver comes to the door with a package that's dripping wet, or the water is gone and the consumer has no idea that they need to put water back into the vase. So there's just a lot that I think can go along with that. Contactless delivery is something new this last 2 years that we haven't really experienced before. We'll talk a little bit more about how to handle that from a delivery aspect, but make sure the driver understands what that is. And then have a plan for attempted deliveries, deliveries that are not successful, that may have to come back to the store, and things like that. So just that training program can be so important and vital to the efficiencies in your business. And as important is creating the right size delivery footprint. So these are some maps that we have here. These are actually 3 real stores in the Chicagoland area. And each one you'll see is very much a different size, right? So each little green box that's outlined there is a zip code. And each store has optimized what works best for them as far as a delivery footprint goes, right? So very large one on the left-hand side here, a little smaller in the middle, and then kind of a medium to the right, but they know what their fulfillment capacity is, and they're able to manage their daily deliveries based on this number of zip codes. So our teams can help you optimize your delivery footprint. So really important to kind of keep that in mind. And you can also, you can set cutoff times by zip code. You can also manage this at peak and off peak, or when you face other challenges, maybe some weather issues or things like that, or maybe you're having a little bit of a labor issue and you need to cut back on some of your zip codes. We can handle that for you. So just let us know and work with us. But it's really important to optimize what that is so that you're not overcommitting or undercommitting and not getting as many orders as you want. So now we're going to run through a little bit of best practices, right? So a lot of this that you should know, but it really kind of starts, I think that best in class experience starts when the minute that order comes into your store, whether it's a wire-in order, whether it's your own order from your own customer or your own website. There's still some things, right, that you have to manage, right? And you're just going to make sure that you have all the delivery details right. You're going to verify the product. And in the case of a wire order, if you can't fill that order, you don't have substitutions that are viable, you want to reject that order within 2 hours. Keep it moving, put it back in the system. A couple things, if you do reject the order, let us know why you're rejecting it. We use that information all the time to help manage our business, both on the refund side or perhaps products that we offer and how we manage those products. So super important to kind of give us some insight when that happens. So as far as kind of delivery best practices, one thing I always did was I had a kind of quality checkpoint in my store. And it was usually the driver, right? I had a pretty robust driver training program. So I was able to let the driver make those final checks on it to make sure it's the right package, the right name, the right item that's going on it. Is there add-ons? Are the add-ons packaged with it? Will they actually make it from the point where it leaves the store to the recipient all in one group? So a lot of detail there. We talked a little bit about special timing and things like that, contactless delivery. Delivery pools, if you happen to be in a delivery pool, that's great. Helps you extend your delivery footprint a little bit, but realize there's some additional work that you have to do to make sure that you're communicating, giving that visibility back to the consumer through your delivery confirmation. So you have to somehow be able to network and work within your delivery pool to make sure that you have that visibility available for the consumer. And also kind of a thing we don't talk about a lot, but as we're starting to go into some of the holidays, I know some delivery pools meet the day before. If that happens, you want to kind of try to manage some of those zip codes so that you're not taking orders and having to reject them the day of the delivery. So if we have to kind of get together and noodle that a little bit, again, my team is more than happy to do that with you. So We're going to talk a little bit about collecting proper proof of delivery in a couple upcoming slides. And then I kind of talked about a little bit about how that driver is probably the best person who's representing your business, right? That's out on the road. All of the presentation, right? The package, how is that package received? Is it, some of us wrap, some don't. That's okay. However you want to give that package, it just needs to make sure that it's in a good state when it gets there. And then is your driver presentable, the vehicle presentable, and does your driver have all the tools that they need, right? A phone, delivery log, call tags. Are they well equipped to kind of go out and manage the business without having to, have any delivery failures or bring packages back? Delivery confirmation. I was looking at this earlier. I probably would reorganize these bullets. And the first thing I think I want to really tell you is that, and remind you that sending a delivery confirmation messages the consumer immediately. Okay. So this is that visibility we keep talking about. This is what, when you think about Amazon, I know immediately when Amazon delivers a package to my door because I get a text message and I get a picture of that package on my front step. So we're doing this as well with the email when you send that delivery confirmation. So maybe now that you know that message is going to the consumer immediately, right? Sending a delivery confirmation prior to delivery kind of just sets things on its side or on its ear, right? The customer wonders, I've got this message, it's been delivered, but it hasn't been delivered. I verified that. They're calling customer service. It's creating issues that way. So only send that decon on completed deliveries. And of course, you have up until 7 p.m. local time to do that. But the more real time you can be, either by using some of the tools in the FTD POS system, or the app and the new MHQ system, you can give kind of that customer a little more real-time insight to get that email earlier in the day, and then they're not wondering what's going on with their package. The one thing I want to mention about delivery attempts is if you have a package that goes out and for some reason the package has to come back, you were unable to leave it to perform the contactless delivery, it just wasn't safe to leave it there, and the package comes back to the store, super important to just send an ask message to either the sending florist or at ftd.com and let us know that the attempt was made. If you don't, kind of what happens is the consumer is looking for their order, they call into customer service or they call the other florist, and they have no visibility, right? There's that visibility thing again coming up. They have no visibility to where the package is, but if you send us that message or send the florist that message, they'll know how to communicate with their customer. They'll know that they're going to redeliver it the next day or wait for next steps to come back from them. And then proof of deliveries become kind of a big thing. I know it's not always an efficiency, but it's a necessity to kind of just have your back and make sure that you have a way to let either another florist know or ftd.com that you have delivered it. Here's the proof, and that can be in the form of pictures, delivery log, or we talked a little bit about some of the technology that's available as well. So I want to share a couple things with you. So pictures have become a big thing. And probably some of the best proof of delivery that is out there. And if you look at the examples that I put on this slide, every one of these I think are great examples for proof of delivery. So to the left over there, this member actually sent in 2 pictures, one of the front of the house, one of the bouquet with a little bit of the porch. So I can really see, and I can see the address stone in there. That one's perfect. Down below that is a kind of really creative, I think. It's in front, it's a funeral wreath, of course, in front of the funeral home with the address. Hard to dispute that the florist actually delivered that to that building. Same thing with the business in the middle. There's a hospital at the bottom. And then if you look all the way to the one at the right, they put the arrangement down at the door, and then they just step back far enough so I can still see the flowers and I can see the address posted there up on the left. So these are all great examples of proof of delivery and great execution. And I think a great example of best in class service. And then these are all on the what I would call invalid proof of delivery. These are beautiful arrangements. I can see that they've been delivered somewhere. I just don't know where. You know, very unique carpeting. It's obviously, I feel like it's somewhere in an apartment building up here on the left-hand side, but I don't have any address numbers or things like that. So it's really hard to, and I can't see inside. You know, quite often our agents will, they'll Google addresses and things like that. So they do a lot of detective work to kind of see, even if they can't see an address stone, they do a lot of detective work to see if they can see a front door that's a certain color or surroundings. But these are all too close to really be good, valid proof of delivery. So a little more distance, a little more context, and I think it'll bode you well. So kind of the last thing I want to leave you with here is a delivery solution for you. I think many of you may know that we have the FTD Delivery Service, and you know, maybe the delivery service will cover your entire footprint, or perhaps if it's a wide area, you can use it as a supplement to your drivers that you have there. And then you can also use this as a holiday solution, or it can be an everyday solution. You guys kind of pick, you know, when you want to engage and execute in this service. Maybe you just want to do it for hot shot deliveries, you know, the time deliveries that need to go out at certain times. Works great for that. And then a couple of good things that kind of come from that is the delivery service handles the delivery confirmation. So you don't have to worry about that. Once it's delivered, it'll let you know, it'll let us know, it'll let the florist know that it's done. It'll let the customer know, most importantly. And then also it may reduce some of the exposure to some of the delayed response issues. And so that again will reside with the FTD Delivery Service once that package has left your control. The only time it wouldn't is if that package happens to come back to your store. Then we go back to that communication piece with the ask message. So I think, you know, bringing something like this in could allow your in-house delivery team to actually have a little more attention to the best-in-class service that you want to provide in other areas. This will pick up some of those odds and ends, and then you know, you guys can focus too on some of the bigger deliveries and more important deliveries that you have out there. So
Keith, if I'm interested, how do I learn more?
So I think one of the best ways is to kind of reach out to your rep and FTD rep, and they'll be able to fill you in on the details, get you signed up. The way I understand it, everybody actually has access already. I think you just have to kind of kick it into gear. So a lot there, and I appreciate your time, and hopefully there's, you know, some elements in here from the best-in-class approach that you can kind of pick up and take and embrace. Does anybody have any questions or things that they want to share?
The chat's all clear, Keith.
Yeah, I see that. Okay, so as you can see, you know, that the information will be available on ftdi.com. Oh, I have it. We belong to a delivery pool. Let's see from Robbie. Do you have a question about the delivery pool, or
maybe suggesting it for others as an option?
Oh, here we go. So the delivering florist is not going to send the delivery confirmation for you. So, and I apologize if I probably wasn't clear enough on that. I know I've talked to some members and they have some great communication within their delivery pool to understand when items are delivered, and can kind of get that feedback from the packages that are delivered, and then you can go ahead and confirm the delivery. Yeah, I understand it. It's great because it expands your, the question here is, we send out about 18 pool deliveries a day. So they send out 18 deliveries a day. If they don't hear anything back from the delivery service, they expect everything that is okay. You know, and I think that's fine. I think you do run a risk though of sending a delivery confirmation on something that might not be okay, but it all depends. I guess the point I want to make is to make sure that you have really good communication within your delivery pool so that you can handle that and either send that delivery confirmation before 7 o'clock as expected and by the rules of the program, or if you can actually connect with them on a little closer basis, maybe they can come up with a way to find a way to let you know even more real time. Well, so I did, so the question here is, a week later, customer service reaches out to us and they are looking for proof of delivery and how can we be expected to provide that proof of delivery. I know in the delivery pool that I was in for many years when I had my store, we had signed delivery tickets for each delivery that actually went through the service. You know, again, I think this is where you're going to have some type of communication with that delivering florist to have, you know, some of these pieces of proof of delivery available for you. I think, sorry, this is an ongoing question, but one more point here from this member. Talked about, you know, the sign slip not being good enough. You know, I think there's opportunity here to again, work with the service. You know, I think the customer service agent, they'll look at signatures and, you know, what they don't want is just a note that says left at door or things like this, or something that looks like delivered by Joe the driver or something on that order. So if you can, you know, find a way to have, you know, date, time, and signature, a legible signature on the slip, I would say that should be acceptable. Thank you for that question. It was kind of a many-parter. Anybody else? All right. Well, Sidney, anything else on your end, or should we turn it back to Janet?
Turn it back to Janet. I've missed her.
All right. Thanks, guys, for sharing a lot of great information with us today. We want to thank everyone for attending. A recording will be available on demand on the FTD Mercury Network Florist YouTube channel. And for more education programming from FTD, visit ftdi.com to register for upcoming free webinars and design shows, as well as viewing past education programs on demand. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.